The midwife's hands are still bloody when the prophecies start rolling in. It's 356 BCE, and you, Alexander of Macedon, have just been born into a world where your destiny is already written. Some say the gods themselves sent lightning down the night you were born. Others claim your mom, Olympias, was literally impregnated by Zeus. Cool, right? Wrong. Because while everyone expects you to be the next Achilles, you're still just a screaming, wrinkled baby in the hands of a very, very intense mother. And your father, King Philip II of Macedon, one of the most ruthless, power-hungry, war-obsessed kings in Greek history. The guy conquered half of Greece before you could even crawl. So congratulations, kid. You don't get a childhood. Your mother, Olympias, terrifying, possibly insane, definitely involved in some weird cult stuff. She's obsessed with the idea that you're a god. She raises you like you're the next Hercules. Your father, Philip II, the best general of his time, thinks emotions are for weaklings, constantly reminds you that you'll never be as great as him. By the time you're 8 years old, you already know how to wield a sword. By 10, you're riding horses better than grown men. By 12, you tame a wild horse no one else could ride. Bucephalus, your future warhorse. Your father finally looks at you with something that might be pride, but don't get used to it, because right after, he mutters something about how you'll need to conquer an empire to match your ego. Translation, you're still not good enough. So yeah, therapy doesn't exist yet, but you definitely need it. When you're 13, your dad hires Aristotle as your personal tutor. Yes, that Aristotle. The guy who literally invented logic and science. The guy who trained the world's greatest minds. And you're just another spoiled royal brat in his eyes. He teaches you ethics, war and government, medicine, science and philosophy. How to justify conquering an entire empire. Yeah, you read that right. Your education. Basically a masterclass in world domination. And while you love learning, Aristotle has one huge problem. He hates your mum. He despises Olympias and makes it very clear that he thinks she's a crazy snake-worshipping witch, which, to be fair, she might be. But you're stuck in the middle, caught between a warrior father, a power-hungry mother, and a philosopher who low-key thinks your whole family is insane. By the time you're 16, your dad is too busy conquering Greece to rule Macedon full-time. So he leaves you in charge, and within weeks, a rebellion breaks out. Some Thracian tribes decide that now's the perfect time to rise up and challenge Macedon. You, not on your watch, you do what any reasonable teenager would do. You raise an army, march north, and crush them. Then, to really drive the point home, you rename their city Alexandropolis. Because what's the point of winning if you don't make everyone remember your name? Your dad, finally impressed. For the first time in your life, he actually sees you as a warrior. But don't get too comfortable, because in just 2 years, everything changes. Fast forward to 336 BCE. You're 20 years old, your father is at the height of his power, and then boom, someone stabs him to death in public. 1 minute, he's about to launch an invasion of Persia. The next, dead on the floor. Nobody knows exactly who did it. Some say it was the Persians, some say it was your mother, some say it was you. Either way, you are now king of Macedon. And before you even warm up the throne, everyone is plotting to kill you. Your half-brothers want the crown. The Greek city-states think you're weak. Darius III of Persia, laughing at you from across the sea. So you do what any reasonable 20-year-old does. You kill every single rival in sight. Your older cousin, dead. Your father's other wives and sons, dead. Anyone who might challenge you, dead, dead, dead. And just like that, the kid is now a king. But guess what? You're just getting started. By 335 BCE, you've already crushed every rebellion, silenced every doubter, and solidified your rule. But Macedon? Too small. Greece? Not enough. Your father wanted to invade Persia. Now, it's your turn. You gather your best generals, you form an army of 40,000 men, and you set your sights on the Persian Empire, the biggest, richest, most powerful empire in the world. Everyone tells you it's suicide. You smile, because you've been waiting for this moment your whole life, and nothing, not the Persian army, not Darius, not even the gods themselves, is going to stop you now. The year is 334 BCE, and you, Alexander of Macedon, king of Greece, son of Zeus, according to your mother, are standing at the edge of the Hellespont, staring across the sea at the Persian Empire. Your army, 40,000 men, a tiny force compared to Persia's millions. Your mission? Conquer the largest empire the world has ever seen. Everyone thinks you're insane. You're about to rewrite history. So what's the first thing you do before launching the most ambitious war in human history? You throw your spear into the sand and declare that all of Asia belongs to you. Bold. Now, time to fight. Your first real test comes at the Battle of the Granicus River. On one side, you and your army, mostly Greeks, Macedonians, and a few Thracians who owe you money. On the other side, Persian satraps, governors backed by a much larger army, and King Darius III, nowhere to be found. The Persian king doesn't even bother showing up. Apparently he doesn't think you're worth his time. Big mistake. The Persian commanders make an even bigger mistake. They decide to fight you at the edge of a river. So you charge straight through the water, smash into their cavalry, and within an hour they're running for their lives. Your army barely loses any men. The Persians, absolutely humiliated. And you march into Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey, like you own the place. Which, technically, you do now. One battle down, only the rest of the world to go. Conquering land is one thing. Controlling it, that's where things get messy. See, the Persians ruled through local governors, satraps, who were supposed to be loyal to the king. Now that you've kicked them out, the locals don't know who to follow. Some welcome you as a liberator. Some plot to kill you the second you turn your back. And then there's the Greeks. See, back in Macedon, you were a king, a warrior, a conqueror. But to the Greek city-states you just liberated, you're supposed to be a defender of Greek freedom, meaning they expect you to leave after kicking out the Persians. Yeah, that's not happening. So you come up with a brilliant political strategy. To the Greeks you tell them you're avenging the Persian invasion of Greece from 150 years ago, but whatever, to the Persians you say you're respecting their traditions as long as they obey you. And to your army you promise riches, glory, and cities named after you. And guess what? It works. For now. By 333 BCE, Darius III finally realizes you're a problem. So he gathers an army, an actual Persian royal army this time, with over 100,000 soldiers, and marches to meet you at Issus. Your army is outnumbered 5-1. But that's never stopped you before. The battle starts. The Persians, confident. Darius, sitting comfortably in his golden chariot, watching from a hill. Then you spot his position, and instead of wasting time fighting his massive army, you go straight for Darius. One cavalry charge later, Darius panics and runs away. His army sees their king fleeing and collapses instantly. Just like that, you've won the most important battle of your life. And guess what? Darius left behind his wife, his mother, and his royal treasury. You capture them all. Now instead of just winning battles, you're officially breaking Persia apart. After crushing Darius at Issus, you march south into Egypt, one of Persia's richest and most important territories. The Egyptians, they hate Persia, so when you roll in, they welcome you as a liberator. And then something insane happens. The priests of Amun-Ra, the chief Egyptian god, take one look at you and go, "Yep, this guy is definitely a god." So now, you're not just Alexander the king, Alexander the general, Alexander the conqueror. You're Alexander the son of Ammon, a literal god king. Your reaction? Yeah, that sounds about right. And because you never miss a branding opportunity, you build a brand new city right on the Nile. You name it Alexandria. Because, of course, you do. Now, time to finish what you started. It's 331 BCE, and Darius has one last chance to stop you. He gathers another army, this time with over 250,000 men. And this time, he's taking no chances. He picks a battlefield near Gaugamela, in modern-day Iraq. His plan: use his superior numbers to surround and crush you. Your plan: charge straight through the center and kill him personally. The battle begins. Persian war elephants trample your front lines. Massive Persian cavalry charges hammer your flanks. For a moment, it looks bad. Then you find Darius, and for the second time, you charge straight at him. And for the second time, Darius runs away. His army falls apart instantly. And just like that, the Persian Empire is over. You are now the ruler of the biggest empire in the world, but guess what? You're still not satisfied. It's 331 BCE and you, Alexander the Great, son of Zeus, king of Persia, pharaoh of Egypt, conqueror of the world, are at the absolute height of your power. You've crushed Darius III, taken his empire, declared yourself king of Asia, and for some reason, you're still not satisfied. Most rulers would stop here. You decide. You know what? Let's go further. Let's take India. Nobody in your army wants to keep going. They've marched thousands of miles, fought countless battles, and haven't been home in years. But you give them one of your famous speeches promising glory, riches, and eternal greatness. And somehow, they follow you. Because, let's be honest, you are impossible to say no to. So you pack up your entire empire and march into the unknown. And that's when things start going horribly wrong. The second you cross into India, you realize something. This is nothing like Persia. The rivers, massive and nearly impossible to cross. The jungles, full of diseases that start wiping out your men. The people, not impressed by you at all. And worst of all, the war elephants. Yeah. See, in Persia you fought chariots, cavalry, and infantry. In India, they throw giant armored elephants at you. And let's be real, that is not a fair fight. By 326 BCE you run into King Porus, a local ruler in the Punjab region. He has an army of 50,000 men, plus hundreds of elephants. You have fewer troops, and none of them have ever fought an elephant before. The battle starts, and instantly it's a nightmare. The elephants trample entire squads of soldiers. The war drums deafen the battlefield. Your cavalry charges, useless against literal walking tanks. For the first time in years, it actually looks like you might lose. Then, you change the game. You realize something: elephants are terrifying, but they get tired. So you play the long game. You use archers to weaken them, you bait them into running too far, and when they finally collapse from exhaustion, you strike. After hours of brutal fighting, Porus finally surrenders, but instead of executing him, you do something unexpected. You let him keep his kingdom. Why? Because even you respect a guy who almost killed you with elephants. And just like that, India is yours. Or at least, that's what you think. After Hydaspes, you do what you always do. Push forward. You want to keep going east, deeper into India. You don't know what's beyond these lands, but you don't care. You want it all. Then, your men, thinking soldiers who followed you across deserts, mountains, and endless battlefields, say no. For the first time ever, your army refuses to fight. They are tired, sick, homesick, and done with your God complex. You try to give another speech. You promise more riches, more lands, more glory. But this time, nobody moves. And for the first time, you lose. Not in battle, but to exhaustion, fear, and the human need for survival. So after 8 years of conquest, you do something you've never done before. You turn back. And that's when things go from bad to absolute disaster. You can't just go home the easy way. That would be too simple. Instead, you decide to march through the Gedrosian Desert, one of the deadliest places on earth. Why? Because nobody has ever done it before. And you love doing things nobody has ever done before. Big mistake. The heat is unbearable. The water runs out. The sandstorms kill entire units. You lose more men here than in any battle. By the time you crawl out of the desert, your army is a broken mess. But you refuse to stop. You start planning your next conquest. You are already thinking about Arabia, about Rome, about the next empire you'll take. Then, you die. Just like that. At 32 years old, in the city of Babylon, after conquering most of the known world, you drop dead. No more wars, no more speeches, just silence. To this day, historians still argue about how you died. Poison, maybe. Malaria, possible. Typhoid fever, could be. Exhaustion from literally never stopping, probably. But the truth? Nobody really knows. One day, you were planning the next conquest. The next, gone. And with no heir strong enough to take your place, your empire collapses almost immediately. Within a few decades, everything you built is divided, broken, and erased. And that is how it ends. You, Alexander the Great, conqueror of the known world, son of Zeus, allegedly are dead. 32 years old. 1 minute you're planning the next conquest, probably Arabia, maybe even Rome. The next, you're gone. No dramatic final battle. No assassination. Just mysteriously sick for a few days, then dead. And here's the problem. You never picked a successor. So now, your entire empire is about to explode into chaos. When word spreads that you're dead, your generals immediately start freaking out. See, you never trained a second in command. Because why would you? You're Alexander. You don't lose. But now, the people who ran your empire don't know who's in charge. The options, your half-brother, Aridaeus. Problem, he's mentally disabled and completely unfit to rule. Your unborn child, if it's a boy. But waiting for a baby to be born doesn't solve the chaos now. So your generals come up with the worst possible plan. Let's just rule together. They decide to split the empire into different regions, each general taking control of a piece of land. And guess what? It immediately falls apart. Because here's the thing, your generals aren't your friends. They were terrified of you, sure, but with you gone, they all want the empire for themselves. And that means war. The second they agree to rule together, they start killing each other. Perdiccas, your former second-in-command, tries to rule as regent, murdered. Ptolemy steals your body and takes it to Egypt to prove he's the rightful ruler. Cassander has your entire family executed just to erase your bloodline. The result? your empire shatters into pieces. Instead of one great empire, it becomes several warring kingdoms, each ruled by one of your former generals. And your name becomes a tool for propaganda. Everyone claims they're the real heir to your legacy. But the truth? Your empire is dead. Remember how you wanted to be buried in Babylon? Yeah, that doesn't happen. Your general Ptolemy straight up steals your body and takes it to Egypt. Why? Because in ancient times, having a famous ruler's tomb gave you legitimacy. And since you were worshipped as a god, whoever controls your body basically controls your legend. So Ptolemy puts you in a golden sarcophagus in the heart of Alexandria, and for centuries, people travel from all over the world just to see your tomb. Then, at some point, your body disappears. Nobody knows how, nobody knows when. One day your tomb was one of the most famous in history. The next, gone. To this day, historians still argue about where your remains ended up. And that's almost poetic. Because just like your empire, even your own body couldn't stay in one place. Your empire didn't last. Your family was wiped out. Your body was lost. So, what was the point? What did you actually leave behind? Rot. 1. You changed how wars were fought before you. Battles were slow, rigid, and predictable. You turned war into fast, chaotic, and brutal genius. Even today, generals still study your tactics. 2. You spread Greek culture across the world. The reason we talk about Hellenistic civilization, that's because of you. Your empire made sure that Greek ideas, language, and philosophy spread everywhere. Even centuries later, places far outside Greece still had Greek influence. 3. You made cities that still exist. Alexandria, Egypt, still one of the biggest cities in the world. Kandahar, Afghanistan, originally one of your military bases, dozens of other Alexandrias across Asia. Basically, even if your empire died, your name never did. You spent your whole life chasing greatness. You never stopped, never rested. You fought every battle, marched through every storm, and refused to be anything less than a god. And yet, at 32 years old, you were dead. No empire, no peace, no legacy that you actually got to see. So the question is, if you could do it all again, would you? You probably would. Because Alexander, if there was one thing you feared more than death, it was being forgotten. And guess what? You never were. That's it. That's Alexander the Great. A boy from Macedon who rose higher than anyone thought possible and then lost it all. A man who built an empire in just 10 years, only to have it collapse in less than one. A man who, despite dying young, became immortal. And that is why it sucked to be Alexander the Great.